vermutlich auch, nehme ich an.
Was brauche ich?
I guess so. Screen sharing, Lucy. Screen sharing.
Yes.
Welcome and hello. Let me real quick check if we are live on all the channels already, and if it's all working fine. I can see us live on the Twitter. Let me just share that briefly, and then I'll check on the other platforms.
Irgendwen hören wir tippen.
Right. Yeah, you can hear my typing. I'm sorry for that. I don't know why, but I'm always typing very aggressively, very intensely. It's not that I hate typing, but I don't know why. I always type very aggressively. Okay, so we're live on Twitter. We seem to be also live on LinkedIn, I think, if I'm not completely wrong here, and YouTube should be working as well. Let me just check real quick and give people also the chance to join in while we are making sure that everything is working correctly here. There we go. We're live on YouTube as well, and I can see people joining in, which is perfect. So without further ado, I would say we can get started. Welcome to the 11th onocoy month recap and AMA session, again with the usual faces. I guess by now you should be used to us. We have Tommy, we have Daniel, we have Lucy, and myself. And of course, a lot of things have been developing over the last month, and as every month basically. And it kind of feels like we were actually, when we're joining in without having been live already, we were also saying, like, by now it feels like we're really in a kind of rhythm, because we have the monthly, we know what to do, we know how they work, the tech is working well, we never really have any issues, so that's great. For everybody in here, just as a kind of repetition on how the format of this AMA session is working, we prepared some of the topics that we wanted to talk about this month and share with you guys. We do have some really, really exciting things, some things that were just really freshly announced, and also some unannounced things yet, so make sure to stay in the session, and we would be talking about these things and explaining them and introducing them, and you can ask questions at any given point in time. So whenever you have a question towards a certain topic, or also if you have a question to something that we are currently not talking about, feel free to just drop it in the chat. You can drop it on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and also on YouTube, all the channels that we are live on. And we will see your questions here, and then we will try and answer your question to the best of our ability and our knowledge whenever suitable. And, well, I would say that's the basic logic, and I don't want to wait too much longer, but rather say that we can get started right away. And I think what we will start with right from the start is a banger, a really, really cool new thing that the team has been working on for quite a while in the background, and that has just been announced literally 2 days ago on Monday, and where we will be sharing a lot more over the next couple of days and weeks, and we expect a lot to be coming from that, which is the HVA rollout. But I don't want to talk about that, but Lucy, you, with the support from Thomas, will be talking about that. So give us the wrap up. What is HVA? What does it mean? What does it stand for? What is it all about?
Yeah, thanks for the introduction, Dominic. The HVA, the high value area, is a new feature that onocoy launched to incentivize miners to deploy a station in a very specific geographical area, and then they can earn a bonus reward, a multiplier of rewards. So it's very exciting for a new opportunity to earn more rewards, basically. But because it's live, let me also share my screen for that and just show you what it looks like. So if you go to our Explorer, the well-known map, what is important is that you switch to the opportunity map. And within the opportunity map, now there you will see not only where you can earn how much, but also where are those high value areas. And if you look closely in the country of South Korea, we have already one of the first high value areas launched. And this is this green area on the small, or not so small island of Jeju. And if you click on those green high value areas, you will get the details. So now, how does it work? Let's say you are going to deploy a station on this island. Then that's a great job. You can deploy it anywhere in this inside of the borders of this polygon on this island to get the maximum bonus. And all the info is on the sidebar. Here you could get a bonus up to 500% of the base reward. That means you will get your base reward just as usual as anywhere in the world. But on top of that, you might get up to 500%. Now, what does it mean? Up to. So the first day that you deploy your station there and you meet all the requirements, you will get a small bonus. And the next day that is still running, you will get an additional bonus. So it will grow each day. And at the maximum, you will get this plus 500%. So that means in total, you would get like six times the rewards if you have a perfect base reward. And the requirements, for example, on Jeju Island are that you have GPS, Galileo, and Beidou supported for your receiver. You will track all these 3 constellations. And additionally, you have an availability scale of 0.9. This scale measures the continuity of your connection so that you're online all the time. So you need to reach 0.9 here. And for the quality, you need to reach 0.85. That includes not only which constellations you support and signals you support, but also if the quality of the signals itself is good. So do you have any obstructions? Hopefully not. These kinds of quality parameters go into the quality scale. So you need to reach those 2 for your streak to go up every day. And in case you miss a day where, for example, your availability scale might not reach exactly 0.9 because you had an interruption of your internet or something, here the penalty, for example, here says failing the requirements reduces your streak counter by 25%. So your streak will get set back by 25% of what it was the day before. And next to that, it is a timely limited area where you get bonus rewards. It's also limited by a budget. So onocoy sets aside a budget for this high value area. And once it's run out, then there's no further rewards. So that's another parameter that we have for the high value areas. So currently the situation is we have a high value area launched in Jeju Island in South Korea. And we also have another one in the city of Riyadh, in the south of Riyadh. Here is the second high value area. This one is rather circular. The other one was more for the island, but here it's targeted for the south of Riyadh. Yes. Tommy, do you have any additions?
Maybe, Tommy, you could talk a little bit more about why actually we're launching the high value areas and also why we're launching them in certain areas that are now, the 2 that you displayed, Lucy. Or Lucy, you talk about it, whoever.
Well, the reason is that we do have customers that have specific requirements for station in certain areas. And what we want to do with this high value area is we want to encourage people to quickly deploy stations in the areas where our customers see them. The initial 2 areas have been picked as rather small areas which are in desperate need from at least one of our customers. They want to see stations there. They want to see them fast. That's why it has a quite decent high value area bonus. We will continue deploying such high value areas in other parts of the world as needed, and you will see frequent announcements of smaller or larger high value areas. But it's really the high value area is essentially the link from the demand side to close supply sided holes on the map. And yes, that's worth an incentive. It's a temporal incentive, obviously, but it makes the business case of rolling the station out more attractive, and therefore it's a valuable incentive. And it's a tool which we have to build essentially the platform, the coverage according to customer needs.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And because also we already had two questions with regards to the high value areas, maybe we can actually go into that, because I also think that this is kind of important, right? So Stefan was commenting that it's kind of hard to find them on the map right now. If there is any better option to highlight the HVAs, and my thinking was immediately that yes, I get it, with those smaller areas, they might be a bit hard to see on the map, which is exactly why we are also announcing them and highlighting them. But maybe also, Tommy, you can go a bit more into that, and also into maybe larger areas that are soon to be announced.
There are larger areas, but obviously we will have singular holes like here in Riyadh, which need closure. So beside making public announcement, follow our Discord or social medias in general, we have started a discussion on how to better highlight areas. It would be a pity if small areas would not be found. Stay tuned. We'll follow up on that, but it may take more than a few days. But problem has been recognized, will be addressed, and we'll follow up.
Yeah. And then we actually had another question on how long those bonus rewards will go on for.
Lucy, you want to take it?
Well, I think each high value area is going to be a little bit different, because it's so targeted, also demand driven by our clients, that it could be different for each area. So for example, for these ones, we set a timeline until end of February, but it could be different for each one.
Yeah. Right. And then we had another one, which I also think is quite interesting. And Tommy, you also, I think you, or Lucy, was it you who hinted already at it, that we put a pool aside, I think, for the extra awards, right? If I'm not wrong.
It comes from the reward pool. At least in the early days, we could also use the treasury if we have to go for larger scales. But as long as it's relatively small areas, the reward pool is sufficiently funded for that.
Yeah. And it also doesn't impact the tokenomics in any sense.
That's correct. It's just a reward element that completely complies with the tokenomics. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think what's really important to take away from the high value area features is obviously, that's the rollout, right? So expect many more areas to go live over the next couple of weeks. There's plannings going on for this exactly. So you guys will be informed on all our socials. We will make sure to send out emails to share it on all the platforms, so you guys are aware of where those high value areas are. And what's really important here, I think, is, maybe you are not in Riyadh, but maybe you have a friend or a colleague or family members who are in Riyadh or on Jeju Island or something, right? So this is a really, really good opportunity to mount a station in those areas, because it's a very, very specific requirement from existing clients asking for these areas. where the bonus rewards are, I mean, it's 500%, right? That is massive. So I guess this is quite attractive to get started if you're not already part of onocoy, or also if you have access to those areas, to install a station there and make sure that you are the person that provides the data in those high value areas. I think that's something to highlight here. Then I would think we can continue with the overall reward system recap, because I think also that's something that is quite important to talk about as a refresher on the reward mechanics, breakdown of the existing reward types, and what else is coming. And Tommy, that's the one that you are taking. Wait, let me check.
Yes, you would probably have to.
There we go.
Okay, so with the new reward element recently launched, I felt that it's prudent to lay out the framework of rewarding we have and explain the reasoning and how this works together. So in general, we have a base reward. The base reward is a performance reward, and it scales with station performance. So the better the station performs, the higher it is. I'll show that in a bit afterwards, but the purpose is to ensure a base income for operating the station. It's covering the operating expenses, contributes to the capital expenses. Important is this is paid independent of data usage. Even if a station is placed in an area where we currently do not have demand yet, the base reward is paid. So that helps really the rollout of stations on a general basis, plus the operation of these stations. Because we see that we do have very picky customers when it comes to performance, we add the so-called streak appreciation. It's also a performance reward, but it's more selective. So it scales with a high data availability and quality. And the purpose here is to reward miners for running particularly good stations in a stable environment. So our customers do not like stations that come and go. That actually causes quite some havoc for them and then also for us. So they want to see good quality stations available for a long time. That's why we built the streak appreciation reward, and it's up to 50% of the base reward. This one runs infinite, very logical, because it incentivizes the long-term performance. Now with the high value area, we have more a promotional reward type. It's fostering the rapid installation of stations in areas where we see high user demand. It's an adder to the base reward, and it's time limited. And I think the illustration on top clearly shows it. It all adds on top. So you can have a base reward, you can qualify for the streak reward, and you qualify for a high value area if this is a new station deployed in an area for which we identify the need combined with a lack of coverage. So this is all addition. And as Lucy said in the example before, Jeju Island, so let's assume you can earn a good base reward, you get 50% more on top of this, and another 500% or up to 500% from this. So for the duration or the validity of the high value area time, you can earn substantially more. That would be 650% of the base reward. That's your reward potential. In preparation is or are usage rewards, and obviously they are what the name says, they scale with data usage in the vicinity of the station. It provides users an upside potential for, or not users, it provides the station owner an upside potential for station deployed in areas of high usage, and it motivates the local community to create demand. So it's partially potential sharing and creating demand. In the long run, this will be the dominant form of reward, and we'll announce it in due time. But I can assure we're already working on this. So the day is not too far when we are ready with this. And needless to say, with the growing popularity of the network, this is going to be very, very important. Important is that, and you see this on the next slide, all of them are in ONO. Yes, the usage reward will be a certain percentage of the revenue generated, but it's in form of the ONO. So it's on the one side a hedging, but it still leaves you with the upside potential of the ONO token, provided you're not dumping everything immediately, but you're waiting until the token value appreciation kicks in. Same is true, obviously, for base reward, streak, and high value area. All is paid in tokens, in ONO tokens, and you benefit from the value appreciation potential if you hodl. So, in more details, the base reward is a daily base reward multiplied with the early mover boost, which has been 5 since the beginning, and continues for the time being to be 5. So in total, that makes about 31 ONOs a day. And then this is multiplied with the quality scale, the availability scale, and the location scale. Again, we pay for the value provided to the network, and that's why we have this 3 different scales. Streak appreciation makes use on the same system, but is another, and yes, all dependent then on your performance. And yes, there is an interlink of base reward and streak multiplier. The streak is only paid to stations that exceed a certain minimum quality scale and availability scale. That's why it's so selective for good stations. We intentionally base it on the base reward because in overpopulated areas, there is not too much streak rewards necessary. So it's really meant to be what it is. And yes, you get more streak reward if you have a quality station, not only because of the streak, but also because of the quality scale and the availability. So this is intentional. It's highly selective. We need good stations. That's what this rewards. Same is true for high value areas. Again, the fundament is the base reward, and the high value multiplier is a multiplier on the base rewards. But again, as you see from the top, the high value area is based on the base reward, but you're earning the base reward even if you don't earn a high value area. So it looks a bit complicated, but it actually makes perfect sense. The reason why we're also taking the base reward here is good stations are needed, so we also want to supply this or provide this to good stations. What you can do is, the higher your quality scale, the higher your availability scale, the more you benefit relative to everything. So now, usage rewards will be a percentage of revenue spread over on a regional basis. We'll dive into this at a later stage. So I hope this explains the reasoning and the mechanics of our rewarding. And any questions, happy to take them now or later.
Yes, thank you very much. I think there are actually, I think there is one or two questions that are related to this directly, if I don't completely misunderstand this, from Cactus Vac or VAC, or I don't know. If the validation is currently centralized, and if so, will it become decentralized and open to participation with rewards? I think that is the data validation, if I'm not completely wrong here, right?
I can take this question.
Yeah.
Indeed. So at the moment, it's centralized. So from each station, we're collecting the data, we're processing that in a batch mode to determine the precise location and also some other parameters of the system. We have a long-term plan to make this decentralized. And I'm underlining the term long-term. It's not something that you should expect in a month or in 3 months. But yes, we want to have a validation function where people can participate in where a quorum of validators will then determine the rewards of each station, and people can participate, they can operate such validator nodes. But if you ask me how long is it going to take, I don't think it's not going to happen in the next 6 months. We're pretty busy building out other things. However, it's our goal, and we also want to make it in a distributed compute environment. We're looking into partnering with some of the DPINs who provide compute on how could we roll that out on such networks.
Yeah. All right, nice. Then another one that we received from Stefan, which is also, I think, kind of related to, well, minor rewards, or maybe also to one of the actually.
I think it's a good intro into the part that I wanted to talk about.
Then we
because I actually wanted to show the Dune dashboard, and thanks Stefan to bring this up. And also, I think there was also Ellen Kronzer.
Yeah, there was another
how many
question.
paying customers we
exactly.
have. That goes into the same direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I think in general, we're seeing really good traction on the demand side. So people who want to use our services, people who started to evaluate it, and also people paying for the service. So that's looking really good. We have an acceleration in the system, and so it's still early days. We are not yet in the millions of revenues, but our projections and predictions are quite. I wouldn't say blue sky, but we are really optimistic that this will fly. Now, to explain a little bit the Dune dashboard, maybe I just share that one.
Yeah, go ahead and share it.
1 sec. I just need to see that I share the right one. Yeah, here it is. That also should then answer the question that Stefan had. So the Dune dashboard that is public, that anyone can see. If you scroll down, you see a leading indicator of how we're doing in terms of demand, and it's that chart. Here we go. In that chart, you see the number of data credits burned. So just to explain that, we have a client who uses our service. They need to buy data credits, and in a pay-per-use system, when they use the streams, every second that they consume data from us, we burn a fraction of a data credit, and we do this in a batch every day. So every day you'll see a number which corresponds to the usage of our system. Now, a data credit is typically $1, although we have a discount curve that we apply for large scale for bulk customers. But in general, the currency that people need to use in order to consume the service is data credits. Now, we are having a number of large scale accounts in the pipeline which are evaluating. That's also why you see such step functions. People are coming in, we give them data credits for free for their evaluation phase, and then they test for a week or a day or even a month in some cases, and then we see a high number of data credits that are being burned. They're actually not paid for, because we want to encourage evaluation of the service, and hence we stimulate that. Or, for example, at the Input Geo, we were giving out vouchers to people who want to test it. worth, I think, $25 worth of data credits, which allows them to test the system in a limited way. And you would see those data credits being burnt as they use them. So what Stefan was calculating, like 6,000 burns a day equals to $6,000, we wished, but that's not the case. What you see here as a leading indicator, a preview of revenues that are to come. Once those people have evaluated, once they've seen how good the quality is, they will turn into a buying customer. So the chart we're looking at here is a leading indicator of how we're progressing. A good one, and yes, this will turn into revenues if the customers are satisfied. On the actual paying customers, we have a long list of relatively small clients. They like the system because they can use it in a pay-per-use mode. They can connect and they pay very little money for consuming the streams. But the bulk of data, and that's also, for example, in this chart where you see here a stable consumption, this is paying customers. And this is large-scale clients. They themselves, they provide correction services, they provide added value on top for the different market verticals that they serve. And these, they consume daily, relatively constant amount of streams, also growing. And that's also, we could sell more, so we could increase the demand side by having those stations in additional areas where they like to provide service, which is also why we have this high value area feature, because we know if we would have stations there, we actually could turn them quickly into revenues, or initially in data credit burns, which is a measure then for the success that we have in the network. And I think this is what I wanted to explain on the clients. We cannot name the big names. They like to be anonymous, or they're not anonymous to us, but they like to be unnamed because they're in the open market and they don't want to tell about how they do the service, how can they very cost effectively roll out into regions where they don't have to install their own stations, but they can just source it from us. I hope this answers both questions, do we have paying customers, and how do we plan on getting more customers going forward? Maybe that part. Going forward, we have a business development team that is very active, that has daily calls with various parties that are interested, that are in evaluation, but also new accounts which want to evaluate the service and hence the data credits that we have.
Yeah. Nice. Anything else you wanted to share on the commercial update, Danny?
No, not really.
Okay. And on partnerships and
yes,
I think, yeah.
Yes. So earlier, I think a week or so ago, we announced a partnership with RTK Fix. RTK Fix is a team in Holland. They've been in the GPS industry for a long time, and some of you may know them as those people behind RTK Direct, which was an early project which followed a similar mission that onocoy did on providing token reward for people injecting the station. But the same team has a higher priority activity, which is providing a middleware piece of software for people who like to offer RTK services to make that more efficient. So they have a white labeling service, an online tool which allows them to, or allows their clients to then provide RTK services in certain regions and have things like billing and reporting and all those things in a very streamlined version. We don't do that ourselves. We rather nowadays have people do build business on top of what we're providing instead of doing those things ourselves. So for us, it's a perfect partner because they are bringing it to a much broader audience. If, for example, you're in a country and you see we have stations there, but you have local support, you know the channels in, for example, into agriculture, you could run with their service, you could operate a system that allows you to efficiently manage your clients in that country, connect onocoy stations, resell the onocoy stations, and that's what they do. But that's a pretty need, and from our perspective, it's a multiplier. So it's a really great partnership and a great team behind. We have 3 more partnerships that are coming up. The announcements are imminent. From a slightly different angles, similar but then different. I cannot talk about the details, but it's all about widening the go-to-market, making the onocoy services more accessible. The onocoy services can be used in a single-base RTK mode right away. But if you need more, or if you want to operate your own business on top of what we're doing, somebody like an RTK Fix, but also some other partners that we're going to announce, are really helpful for our mission and also for people mining, because they generate more usage rewards, made more data credit burns, and hence more value appreciation also on the token. So that's a lot of focus currently on the team, mostly on the business development team, on the partnerships, on the social media where we talk about this. I think that's all I wanted to show or talk about on the partnerships.
Absolutely fine. Then I think, and I'm not sure, do you want to share your screen also for the, let's say, the interesting findings that we recently had?
Yes, indeed. Those people who have been reading our latest update to the white paper from probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah, I think
something like this. There we mentioned what do we measure on the stations, and you see that live in our platform. We measure things like code and phase RMS, sky visibility percentages, cycle slip, so technical things that we extract from our stream. But there was one thing in there which we haven't really shown yet, but we're about to make that. It's not yet ready and it's not yet visible in the platform. It will be at some point in time, but it talks there about velocity calculations. And what this means is we are measuring from each station every second. We are measuring the speed of the antenna. Now you will be saying, well, my antenna is fixed mounted, and that's correct, but still there is small scale variations. There is motion that could happen. For example, if you mount your antenna on top of a long pole and there is wind, it will swing in the wind, which is detrimental to the usage of the data. So we'd like to detect that and also include such parameters into the rewarding, because we prefer to have a very stably mounted, a sturdily mounted antenna that is fine if it moves with, say, a millimeter per second, so very small scale velocity measurements. But if that is doing more, then this would really be a problem to the clients, because any motion of the antenna, if it's being used, will translate in a position error of the people consuming the data. So we want to measure that and also visualize that so that you guys see how good or bad is that setup. Now, we are not yet there. It's not yet visible in our platform, but we've been running the measurement part of it, the calculation part, for a few weeks already. And we have some interesting insights, and I'd like to share one slide. So on each station, we are measuring on at the time when this was taken, we were taking those samples every 30 seconds. So every 30 seconds, we would just briefly measure the speed of the antenna. It was early days. The algorithms had been further tuned and are more accurate, but it's a remarkable example I'd like to show here. So you see on that chart, one day on one station here in Turkey, in a region northeast of Izmir, there's a station here in, I can't read the name, but in a region about 50 kilometers from Izmir, and that station usually shows, when everything is fine, it shows close to zero speed, like a millimeter per second. That's nothing, any mild vibration you would see. But you see there's a certain noise level, so it's noisy of 1, 2, 3 millimeters per second every 30 seconds where we have a measurement. Now, at this point in time, something has happened there. And our algorithms then switch to a continuous monitoring of the velocity calculations. And we see a lot of noise. We see speeds up to 10 millimeters per second in all three directions. The different colors are north for blue, east for red, and orange yellowish for the up, so the altitude variations. So something must have happened. So we wondered a bit what that is, because that station generally shows really good performance, very stable. So we went to some earthquake monitoring website, and indeed, at this very moment, at 7:48 UTC time on that day, and you see here the timeline, there's been a level 6 earthquake north about 40 kilometers away up here in Turkey. And this station has picked up those measurements, although it was quite at a distance, but it has picked up those measurements, and our calculation, our quality assurance has captured that. If we add when exactly the earthquake has started, we were a little bit unlucky because we only sampled it every 30 seconds. And about 10 seconds after the last measurement, the earthquake has started. So the trajectories must have been much higher in the initial phases. But the earth continued to vibrate for quite a long time. Typically in earthquakes, this goes for 60 seconds or more. And this has triggered an internal alert on this station. So bottom line here is the algorithms as such, they work. But more importantly, we also are building as a side product a highly decentralized, highly sensitive global earthquake monitor that we could also visualize and also make use of for the greater good of predicting and monitoring earthquakes. I just thought it's an interesting example. It's been early days, and we'll, in our wildest dreams, we may want to do an earthquake monitoring map where you could live see what vibrations have we picked up on the planet, where is it, and maybe even locate the epicenter of those earthquakes. Thought I'll share that fresh off the press. It's been about a month ago. We had to post-process the data a little bit, but here it is.
Yeah, it's really when you guys put it on the agenda spontaneously for today, because for everybody listening in, we didn't have that planned in to be talking about today up until a couple hours ago. And Tommy was actually, we were on a call and he was actually talking about it, saying that there was this kind of earthquake detection from the data. And I was like, what? Quite interesting findings, really, I have to say. And yeah, I mean, it just goes to show, I think, that if you have data and information specifically gathered in a decentralized way, there is oftentimes use cases or ideas and findings that you don't expect or don't even think about beforehand. And what happens with this data, as you said, Daniel, maybe in our wildest dreams we can do some sort of earthquake detection logic or something like that. I mean, the core business, but it just goes to show that there is a lot of interesting findings and opportunities that open up along the way. And I think that's quite interesting. And if onocoy can eventually benefit from that, or also people can benefit from that, that's just a great option, I guess.
Indeed. And I mean, this method is quite sensitive, and I see Jafar had a question on that. He says that it's at 0.03 centimeters per second. Indeed. So at the moment, the way we do it, we measure the accuracy. The noise level is at around 1 to 2 millimeters per second, which is a bit more than what you're saying, but it's still, you detect many things. We've also been doing some experiments. You will see swing of a pole if you mount the antenna on a long pole or on something unstable. We will see that. We can do a frequency analysis of the timelines of that data. You do see earthquakes that have significantly different patterns in how the trajectories look. There are also some multipath effects that we can categorize and classify. So there's quite a number of things that we can extract out of that. Our main goal, obviously, is we want to ensure quality. Not in all cases. I mean, if we detect that the data, the antenna is moving permanently, that is a problem. And in that case, it will have to have an impact on rewarding. But in an earthquake situation, What we will be doing is we'll be alarming the consumers of the data with a message saying, hey, this stream is now unreliable. Likely source earthquake or likely source antenna has been moved. Just to ensure the quality, because that is critical to the downstream applications. They need to know that.
Yeah. There was another question also related to that, but I think it would be more about if there's any studies out there, right? Because I mean, for us, it's just very, very new, right?
Sorry, I didn't. Yes, indeed. I mean, that GPS is used for earthquake monitoring. That's a common thing that's routinely done with very dense networks. For example, in California, also in Japan, partly also in Turkey. So that's nothing new. It can be done. In many cases, it's done in post-processing mode. You also have precise orbits and can do additional magic. We do it in real time for quality assurance of the real-time streams. But as we could be doing more than that, but rather we want to partner with people who know much more about earthquakes than what we do. So we want to make the data available to both researchers, science, but also commercial operators of such services. Earthquakes have special trajectories, and they have also there's different types of earthquakes. So out of the data, you could extract much more. But I think that's beyond our mission and our vision. But because we have the data, because we have such a dense network, we can make the data available. It also, to those people who want to do such services, it also gives them an opportunity to have a much broader database on which they can build their prediction models and the AI models that they throw at it in order to make a better service for everyone. I hope this answers that question.
Yes, I think so. It does. All right. Then we are at the end of today's AMA. Nearly a bit more than 45 minutes in, which I think is usually our time reference, I would say. And I don't think that we have any open questions, at least not that I would be aware of. I think we answered them. So without further ado, thank you very, very much, Daniel, Tommy, and Lucy. Well, I don't think you say without further ado when you actually do like an outro, but you guys know what I mean. I'm not a native English speaker. Well, anyways, you know what I mean. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for the insights. For everybody who joined in, thank you very, very much for being here, for listening in, for asking your questions. We're always happy to see also people joining in regularly. And I mean, the majority of the questions that were asked, I think, were from people that always show up in those AMAs. Like it, it's good for us to see that are interested. As said at the beginning, and I think that's a highlight. Really, the HVA feature or the HVA rollout. Stay tuned to that. Make sure that you follow the updates. We will be sharing much more. This is really coming directly from the clients. So yeah, this is a really great feature. Good opportunity for people to build stations. Greatly demanded by our clients. So yeah, stay tuned on that and stay tuned on everything else. Have a great evening or rest of the day or wherever you are in the world. And thank you very much for being here with us.